Good morning, everyone. I want to talk to you today about something we don't always acknowledge, something we don't always give ourselves permission to protect: our weaknesses. Now, we live in a world that tells us to be vulnerable, to share, to open up. And I believe in the power of authenticity. I believe in real conversations, real connections. But hear me when I say this: not everyone deserves a front row seat to your struggles. Because the truth is, when you expose your weaknesses to the wrong people, you're giving them the power to define you by them. Some people will lift you up, but others will use what you share as a weapon, even if they don't mean to. See, the world isn't always kind, and not everyone clapping for you is cheering for you. Some people are just watching to see if you'll fall. So you have to be careful. You have to guard the most tender parts of yourself. Now, this does not mean you should pretend to be perfect. No, not at all. It means you must be intentional about who you trust with your struggles. Your challenges are not for public consumption. They are not for gossip, not for speculation, and definitely not for people who don't have your best interest at heart. Instead of telling everyone your weaknesses, strengthen yourself in silence. Work on yourself behind closed doors. Transform your pain into power, where no one can distort the narrative. And when you do choose to share, share from a place of victory, not from the middle of the storm. Because here's what I know: your growth is your story to tell, on your terms. Not when others demand it, not when the world is curious, but when you are ready. When you can stand tall, not as a victim of your struggles, but as a warrior who overcame them. So protect your journey, guard your dreams, and never let anyone else hold the pen to your story. Not everyone deserves access to your struggles, because not everyone has the capacity to hold them with care. The world is full of people with different intentions, different motivations, and different levels of understanding. Some will hear your struggles and feel compassion, offering a helping hand, a listening ear, or even silent support. Others will listen just to gather information, to have something to talk about when you're not around, or even to use your pain as leverage against you. The reality is, people process information through their own experiences, their own fears, and their own insecurities. Not everyone who appears to be in your corner is genuinely invested in your well-being. Some people simply want access to your vulnerabilities, not to help you, but to use what they know when it benefits them. We live in a culture where oversharing is often mistaken for authenticity. Social media encourages us to put our lives on display, to let people in, to share our highs and our lows in the name of connection. But there is a difference between being real and being reckless with your own emotions. Not every moment of struggle is meant for public consumption. Some battles are meant to be fought in silence, with only those who have earned the right to stand beside you. Because the truth is, when you share your struggles with people who don't value you, you're handing them the power to define you by those struggles. And not everyone deserves that power. People have a tendency to remember your weaknesses more than your strengths. You could be strong, capable, and resilient for years, but the moment you expose a deep struggle to the wrong person, that struggle becomes how they see you. It's not always malicious, but it's human nature. When people know too much about what you fear, what you doubt, and what makes you feel small, they start to frame their interactions with you around that knowledge. You might grow, you might overcome, but to them, you will always be that person who once felt lost, who once broke down, who once admitted a struggle. And in their minds, that struggle may always be a part of you, no matter how far you've come. The danger of sharing your struggles with the wrong people is that they may not even be intentionally harmful, but their perspective of you can still limit you. They may not see you as the person who fought through the darkness and came out stronger. Instead, they see you as the person who struggled in the first place. And sometimes when people see you as weak, they treat you as weak. They lower their expectations of you. They offer unsolicited advice. Or they assume you need saving when what you really need is space to grow. There is a difference between support and pity. And when the wrong people know too much about your struggles, what you get is often pity disguised as concern. Then there are those who will use your struggles as currency. They will trade your pain in conversations with others, using what you trusted them with as something to exchange for attention, validation, or influence. They will tell your story as if it's theirs to tell, sometimes framing it in ways that make them look better, wiser, or more important in the process. They will twist your pain into a lesson that serves their own narrative, forgetting that your struggle was never theirs to manipulate in the first place. And then there are people who listen only to measure themselves against you. They don't hear your struggles with empathy. They hear them with comparison. To them, your moments of weakness are evidence that they are doing better, that they have things more figured out than you do, that they are in some way ahead of you. These are the people who will never let you forget what you once confided in them. They will bring up your struggles in ways that seem innocent, but there is always an undertone of superiority, a subtle reminder that they remember your lowest moments. And when people remember your weaknesses more than your strengths, they may never truly see you for who you are becoming. This is why you must be intentional about who you share your struggles with. Some people have earned that level of trust. They have proven themselves through their actions, their consistency, and their ability to hold space for you without judgment. These are the people who listen not to respond, but to understand. They don't use your pain as conversation. They protect it. They don't see you as weak for struggling. They see you as human. And even when you grow past your struggles, they see you for the whole of who you are, not just the moments when you were down. But these people are rare. And that is why you must guard your struggles the way you guard your dreams. Because your struggles, like your dreams, are delicate. They require the right environment, the right people, and the right conditions to be handled with care. When you expose them too soon, or to the wrong people, you risk stunting your own growth. You risk letting outside voices shape how you see yourself. You risk allowing people who don't understand your journey to speak over it, to define it, to turn it into something it was never meant to be. There is nothing wrong with seeking support, with being honest about what you're going through. But not every truth needs to be spoken to every person. Some truths are meant for the people who have shown you, time and time again, that they can be trusted, that they will not take what you share and use it against you, that they will not let your lowest moments define how they see you. And here's another truth. You don't owe anyone access to your struggles just because they ask. Just because someone is curious doesn't mean they care. Just because someone listens doesn't mean they understand. And just because someone offers advice doesn't mean they have the wisdom to guide you. People will always want to know more than they need to. They will ask questions, probe for details, and act as if their interest is a sign of their investment in you. But interest is not the same as care. Some people want to know your struggles just to satisfy their own curiosity, not to help you navigate them. When you are selective about who you share your struggles with, you take control of your own narrative. You choose how you are seen. You choose how you are remembered. You choose who gets to walk with you through your hardships and who only gets to see the strength that comes out of them. Because when you overcome, when you rise, when you find your way through whatever challenges you're facing, you want to be surrounded by people who see your resilience, not just your moments of doubt. Your struggles are sacred. They are part of your journey, part of what makes you who you are. but they do not belong to just anyone. They belong to those who have shown you, through their actions and their heart, that they will hold them with the care they deserve. Because in the end, it is not about pretending to be strong. It is about knowing that real strength comes from knowing when to share, when to stay silent, and when to protect your own story. Strengthen yourself in silence, because growth does not require an audience. The world moves fast, and people are quick to judge, quick to label, and quick to offer opinions on things they do not fully understand. When you choose to do the work on yourself in private, you remove unnecessary noise, you eliminate distractions, and you give yourself the space to truly become who you are meant to be. Silence is powerful. It is in the quiet moments that real transformation happens. It is in solitude that you hear yourself clearly, that you confront your deepest fears, and that you build the resilience needed to navigate life's challenges. The loudest people in the room are not always the strongest, and the ones constantly seeking validation are often the ones most unsure of themselves. True strength is built in the moments when no one is watching, when there is no applause, and when the only person you have to rely on is yourself. Society encourages public progress, pushing the idea that everything must be documented, shared, and validated by others. But when you share every detail of your journey before it has fully unfolded, you invite opinions that may not serve you. You allow outside voices to interfere with your internal process, and you risk letting others shape a path that should be entirely your own. People will always have something to say. They will question your choices, doubt your abilities, and sometimes even discourage you without realizing the weight of their words. When you keep your growth to yourself, you take control of your narrative. You move in ways that are intentional rather than reactive. You do not have to prove anything to anyone. You simply focus on becoming better, stronger, and wiser without needing external validation. The greatest progress happens in the moments of quiet dedication, when you wake up early to work on your dreams while the world is still asleep, when you stay up late refining your skills, when you push yourself beyond your limits with no one there to witness it. That is where strength is built. There is something deeply powerful about committing to a vision that no one else can see yet. The foundation of greatness is laid in the unseen hours, in the work that happens behind closed doors, in the discipline that is cultivated when no one is watching. The people who succeed, the ones who truly master their craft, are not the ones who announce every step of the process. They are the ones who do the work in silence and let their results speak for them. It is easy to seek validation, to want reassurance that you are on the right path, to look for confirmation that your efforts are worth it. But when you depend on the opinions of others to fuel your motivation, you give away your power. If applause is what drives you, then criticism has the ability to stop you. If approval is what keeps you going, then doubt from others can make you question everything. When you strengthen yourself in silence, you learn to rely on something deeper. You develop an inner resilience that does not waver based on external feedback. You move with purpose because your belief in yourself is not dependent on anyone else's. Growth is not always glamorous. It is not always something that looks good from the outside. Real transformation is messy, uncomfortable, and often painful. It requires breaking old habits, letting go of limiting beliefs, and confronting the parts of yourself that you would rather avoid. When you share too much of that process with the wrong people, you risk exposing your wounds before they have had a chance to heal. Some people will not understand what you are going through. They will see your struggle, but not the strength it takes to endure it. They will offer advice that is rooted in their own fears, not in what is best for you. They will project their limitations onto you, telling you what is possible based on what they have experienced, not what you are capable of achieving. Strengthening yourself in silence protects you from unnecessary doubt. It keeps you focused on your own path, rather than being swayed by the insecurities of others. When you are building something meaningful, whether it is personal growth, a new skill, a business, or a vision for your future, you must guard it carefully. Not everyone will see the value in what you are doing, and that is okay. Because you do not need everyone to believe in you. You just need to believe in yourself. There is a certain power in being underestimated. When people do not see what you are working on, when they do not know the full extent of your progress, they cannot interfere with it. They cannot speak doubt into your dreams. They cannot measure your success by their own limited perspectives. When you operate in silence, you move without resistance. You are free to experiment, to fail, to learn, and to grow without the weight of expectations. You do not have to explain yourself. You do not have to defend your choices. You simply focus on becoming the best version of yourself, and when the time is right, your success will speak for itself. People often mistake silence for inaction. They assume that if they do not see visible progress, nothing is happening. But real growth happens internally before it manifests externally. The strongest trees have the deepest roots, and those roots take time to grow. They develop underground, away from sight, before they ever break the surface. The same is true for personal strength. It is built in the moments when no one is watching, in the discipline of showing up every day, in the commitment to improvement, even when there is no immediate reward. When you strengthen yourself in silence, you develop a sense of peace that is unshaken by the opinions of others. You learn to trust yourself, to listen to your own intuition rather than seeking constant reassurance. You become comfortable with solitude, recognizing that true confidence comes from within, not from external validation. You stop looking for approval and start focusing on mastery. You become someone who does not need to announce every achievement because your work speaks for itself. There is something powerful about people realizing your strength only when you reveal it on your own terms. When you have been quietly building, when you have been working on yourself without needing attention or recognition, and then one day, your growth is undeniable. That is when people notice. That is when they see the results, not just the process. And by then, their opinions no longer matter, because you have already done the work. You have already become stronger. You have already proven to yourself that you are capable. Not everyone needs to know what you are going through. Not everyone needs to have access to your journey. Strengthening yourself in silence allows you to protect your energy, to focus on what truly matters, and to build a foundation that is unshaken by external forces. It is about understanding that real strength does not come from being seen. It comes from the quiet determination to keep going, to keep pushing, to keep growing, even when no one is watching. Own your story on your terms, because no one else has lived your experiences, felt your emotions, or walked in your shoes. The world is full of people who will try to define you based on their perceptions, their expectations, and their limited understanding of who you truly are. They will form opinions based on fragments of your life, often without knowing the full depth of your journey. But your story is not theirs to shape. It is not theirs to tell. It belongs to you, and you alone have the right to decide how it is shared, when it is shared, and with whom. There is power in taking control of your own narrative, in refusing to let others dictate how your past, your struggles, and your victories are framed. Too often, people allow their stories to be told by those who do not fully understand them. They let others speak for them, define them, and reduce their experiences to convenient summaries that fit someone else's perspective. This happens in relationships, in families, in workplaces, and in social circles. People will take pieces of your journey and shape them into a version that makes sense to them, a version that aligns with their own beliefs or biases. And if you do not take control of your story, if you do not own it with confidence and clarity, you risk being misunderstood. You risk being defined by narratives that do not reflect the full truth of who you are. Owning your story means recognizing that you are not obligated to share every part of your life with the world. Some people will demand explanations for your choices, for your growth, for your transformation. They will want to know why you changed, why you walked away from certain situations, why you let go of certain people. But you do not owe anyone an explanation for the way you evolve. Your story is yours, and not everyone is entitled to every chapter. Some parts of your journey are personal. Some lessons are meant for you alone. There is strength in choosing what to share and what to keep sacred. Not everything needs to be explained. Not everything needs to be justified. You have the right to decide which parts of your story serve a greater purpose and which parts are simply meant to be experienced, learned from, and kept within you. People will always have opinions about your life, your past, and your choices. Some will try to rewrite your story to fit their own understanding. They may minimize your struggles, downplay your victories, or twist certain moments to fit their own version of events. Some will try to keep you locked in an old version of yourself, refusing to acknowledge how much you have grown. They will remind you of your past mistakes, your past struggles, your past pain, as if those moments defined you forever. But you are not the same person you were then. You have evolved. You have learned. You have rewritten yourself in ways they may never fully understand. Owning your story means refusing to let others hold you captive to an outdated version of who you once were. It means standing firm in your growth and not allowing anyone to reduce you to the moments you have outgrown. Taking control of your story also means recognizing that your past does not determine your future. And when you own your story, you reclaim the power that others may have tried to take from you. You stop letting past failures define you, and instead you use them as fuel for your future. You recognize that every challenge was a lesson, every struggle was a step forward, and every moment of pain was a building block for something greater. Owning your story on your terms also means protecting it from those who seek to exploit it. Some people are only interested in your story when it serves their own agenda. They want to use your experiences for their own gain, to fit their own narrative, or to make themselves look better in comparison. They may act as if they care, as if they are invested in your journey, but their interest is not rooted in genuine support. It is rooted in curiosity, in control, or in the desire to shape your story in a way that benefits them. But you do not have to give them that power. You do not have to hand over your story to those who do not respect it. You have the right to protect your journey, to decide who gets to hear it and who does not. There is also a danger in letting society define your story for you. The world often imposes expectations, telling you who you should be, how you should live, and what your experiences should mean. If you do not take ownership of your story, you risk allowing external forces to dictate your path. You risk conforming to a version of yourself that is shaped by pressure rather than authenticity. Owning your story means rejecting the labels that others try to place on you. It means breaking free from the narratives that do not align with who you truly are. It means embracing your own truth, no matter how different it may be from what others expect. Some people struggle to own their stories because they are afraid of judgment. They fear what people will say if they speak their truth. They worry about how others will perceive them if they are honest about their struggles, their failures, or their growth. But the reality is, people will judge you no matter what. Whether you tell your story or stay silent, there will always be those who form opinions, who misunderstand, who criticize. If you are going to be judged either way, you might as well be judged for standing in your truth rather than hiding from it. There is freedom in embracing your story fully, without shame, without fear, without hesitation. Owning your story on your terms means telling it when you are ready, not when others demand it. Some people will pressure you to share your experiences before you are ready, to open up before you have healed, to explain yourself when you are still processing your own journey. But healing is not a performance. Growth is not a public spectacle. You do not have to tell your story before you are ready to. You do not have to prove anything to anyone. The right time to share is when it feels right to you, not when others expect it. Your story is your power. It is what makes you unique. It is what has shaped you into the person you are today. And when you own it fully and unapologetically, you take control of your own identity. You become the author of your life rather than letting others write the narrative for you. You embrace your truth, your past, your journey, and you walk forward knowing that you alone have the right to define what your story means.